You're looking at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where a good crowd files in amidst what is always a carnival-like atmosphere. And today, it's the Oakwood Homes 500 for the Winston Cup cars of NASCAR. Hello, everyone. Eli Gold along with Dr. Jerry Punch. And it's very difficult, Jerry, to isolate the biggest story of the day. You've got a veteran on the pole, a veteran starting shotgun, and Jimmy Means right near the front.
You cannot forget about Jimmy Means, Eli. Jimmy's been racing for 11 years. He has never won. He's never really gotten a run up front. This is the opportunity. It's sort of the big chance for Jimmy. Everyone wants him to do well. When he came out to practice yesterday, even the first day for qualifying, he got a standing ovation by the fans here in Charlotte.
And qualifying for Bobby Allison has not always been the strong suit. It's been a while since he's been on the pole.
September of 1982, Bobby Allison was his last Busch pole. It was at Richmond, Virginia. He won the race. Maybe he can do it today. We'll find out.
The third member of our broadcast crew is Pat Patterson. He's with the pole sitter, Bobby Allison.
Hueytown, Alabama's Bobby Allison will lead them away here today at Charlotte. Bobby, your initial concerns about this particular event as you're on the pole?
Well, the car's running real good. The boys worked real hard on this Miller American Buick, and it's running good, and it's going to be a long race today. I think we're in pretty good shape.
Good luck today. Bobby Allison.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. Now, Jerry, as was the case here this weekend for the Busch Grand National cars, where Larry Pearson was going for a season-ending championship, Dale Earnhardt here today very much in a similar situation.
There are a lot of scenarios, Eli, but basically if Earnhardt finishes second or better, he has wrapped it up. If he finishes third and leads a single lap, he has wrapped up the championship. Now, depending upon what happens to Bill Elliott, he may not wrap it up today. If Earnhardt can finish 35th or better and start the remaining events of the season, and he will clinch the championship for 1987.
As we mentioned, with Bobby Allison on the pole, Richard Petty is starting all the way back 41st today using a provisional starting spot. As soon as we come back, Pat Patterson will be with him.
Monte Carlo SS of NASCAR champion Dale Earnhardt uses just one make of tire, the Goodyear Racing Eagle. And every Monte Carlo SS leaves Chevrolet with just one make of tire, the Goodyear Eagle GT Street Radial. Not by coincidence, because Goodyear makes better high-performance tires for the track and for the street. Goodyear Eagles, they'll take you home the quick way or to the winner's circle.
Goodyear, take me home.
You couldn't ask for a better day for racing here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We welcome you back to SETN's coverage of the Oakwood Homes 500. Eli Gold along with Dr. Jerry Punch. The folks may not realize that if you can't qualify for a Winston Cup event in the conventional manner, there is a rule provision that allows you to take a provisional starting spot. Each team has 4 which they can use during the course of a regular season, and Richard Petty was forced to use one here this weekend.
If you're in the top 30 in the car owner's points, you're allowed to use one of those. When's the last time Richard had a provisional start? Well, try never. He's never started with one of his provisional spots. Well, people say, yeah, but a year or so ago he destroyed a car here and drove D.K. Ulrich's car. That car was already qualified in the field. This is his first ever provisional start in a Winston Cup event.
Let's check in with Richard Petty. He's joined by Pat Patterson. Gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen. He's starting way back in the back today. However, he's got a lot of family support. Richard Petty, you got the whole crew out here to give you a send-off in Charlotte.
Well, yeah, we really have to go out and do a good job just to pay for all this crowd here. So, you know, we're starting a little bit back, but the car seems to be working real good, and we're looking forward to the race getting started.
You're going to just try to pick your way up and look for the good spots to go in and be cautious going up?
Well, you know, you want to be that way, but sometimes you've got to take some chances, you know what I mean? Because it's 500 laps and 500 miles, and you know, if we're fast enough, then we've got a good chance to catch up because we've got plenty of time.
Okay, good luck to you, and the family's all here as Richard Petty's ready to go in this one in Charlotte.
Well, thank you, Pat Patterson. The cars are getting fired. The drivers are getting cinched up, ready to pull off for today's Oakwood Homes 500. Eli, it should be a barn burner. 42 cars, some of the finest drivers in the world here for 500 miles.
We've met 2 of those drivers already, Bobby Allison and Richard Petty. Now as the field gets set to roll, here's the rest of today's starting lineup. On the pole, Bobby Allison, the senior member of racing's Alabama gang, 171.636 miles an hour. That sets the pace.
And Eli, he'll be flanked by another veteran, Benny Parsons, a 46-year-old driver from Ellerby, North Carolina. The Folger Citrus Hill Exxon Chevrolet qualifying 170.336 miles per hour.
Jeff Bodine of Chemung, New York, in the Levi Garrett Exxon Superflow Chevrolet had a wild ride in this weekend's All-Pro Auto Parts 300. He'll try to avenge that today.
You talk about a horrible year. This guy has had one. Poor Harry Gant will start fourth. Maybe he can turn it around. The 47-year-old Taylorsville, North Carolina driver has the Food Lion Skull Bandit Chevrolet qualifying over 168.
And the pre-race story is that man, Jimmy Means, formerly from Huntsville, Alabama, a longtime independent. Today in a first-class Hendrick Motorsports Folgers Chevrolet car.
Outside row 3, Phil Parsons from Detroit, Michigan, 30-year-old driver, the Fast Fair Skull Classic Racing Oldsmobile qualifying 168.172 miles per hour.
And this man has to be a favorite today, as he always is. Bill Elliott in the Melling Coors Ford Thunderbird, qualifying 7th at 168.117.
Terry Labonte, fresh from a win a week ago in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, brings the Budweiser Chevrolet outside row 4. He qualified over 168 as well.
And the wheels would have to fall off the car for this man, Dale Earnhardt, not to win the Winston Cup title this year. The way the team is running, this day could again very well be his.
And the man they call Super Rookie, Davey Allison, 26 years of age from Hueytown, Alabama. He brings the Haviland Ford outside row 5 in 10th spot.
It's a beautiful day for racing. You see the balloons being released here en masse as the field begins to roll off pit road, and the Oakwood Homes 500 is just about set to get going. The rest of the starting lineup, Washington's Derek Cope, Missouri's Ken Schrader, Kyle Petty, who won here earlier this year, and Alan Kowicki from Wisconsin.
Eli, row 8, last win for Kelly Yarborough here 2 years ago. Alongside him, Brett Bodine, rookie driver. Then Darrell Waltrip and the young man Bobby Hillett, row 9.
Everybody pulling off pit road well. Rusty Wallace, Ken Reagan, Rick Wilson in the Kodak Oldsmobile, and Morgan Shepherd in the Quaker State Buick going in row number 11.
Moving back in the field to row 12, A.J. Foyt Jr., Supertex inside row 12. He's flanked by Lake Speed. Row 13, Greg Sachs and Big Buddy Baker. 55th start here at Charlotte.
The Ford Thunderbird for Ricky Rudd and the Pontiac for Neil Bonnet. Neil is well up in the points, so too Ricky Rudd. Buddy Arrington and Connie Saylor, he's driving D.K. Ulrich's car here today at Charlotte.
Row 16, Sterling Marlin, a good week of practice for Sterling. They'd like to get their team turned around. Mike Waltrip, a young driver outside of Marlin. Row 17, Larry Pearson and the veteran Dave Marcus.
Brad Teague from Johnson City, Tennessee, and a relative newcomer, Ernie Irvin. We'll talk more about him later. California's Mark Stahl and Rodney Combs driving in car 12.
Row 20, Trevor Boys and the rookie Dale Jarrett. Row 21, the provisional spots you've already heard from Richard Petty. Starting inside row 21, flanking him is Steve Chrisman.
It is a magnificent day here today as Bobby Allison, car number 22, and Benny Parsons get set to bring this field to green. We'll bring it to you. Set to go at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Eli Gold with Dr. Jerry Punch and Pat Patterson. Glad you're along for SETN's coverage of the Oakwood Homes 500. Green flag about set to fly as Bobby Allison and Benny Parsons bring the field to the starting line. We're underway for 500 miles here at Charlotte. Quickly, it is Bobby Allison, car 22, the red and white machine working inside of Benny Parsons. Jimmy Means starting in 5th spot. Still there, you see him to the inside of Phil Parsons. Field basically, Jerry, in a high-speed pace lap here. Nobody is jumping out of line yet.
They're 2x2s ahead out of turn 2. Looks like Benny Parsons will take a half a car length advantage. Allison awfully strong. Harry Gant rides high. He's a 33 car back there. 55 car bottling the Skull effort. That is Phil Parsons.
Jimmy Means is dropping back just a bit now. He's running in the 9th spot as Bobby Allison works off the inside of Benny Parsons to hang on to the lead here in the early going at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We are looking at 334 laps, 500 miles here this afternoon as Benny Parsons tucks right in behind Bobby Allison. Jeff Bodine is falling to 3rd spot and holding his position there as you see.
Allison's car glued to the low side of the racetrack. He drifts up a little bit coming out of turn 4. There is Allison, Benny Parsons in the field now passing him through the bright orange car, easy to pick out. Then, of course, Darrell Waltrip in the Tide machine.
Good look at the speeds they generate here at Charlotte. Jimmy Means now running back in the 15th position. He has dropped 10 positions here on the start as you again see Bobby Allison. And here comes Sterling Marlin's machine. Sterling Marlin, the Piedmont Airlines Underalls Oldsmobile, in for an unscheduled pit stop.
There's the battle for second spot. Benny Parsons in the car number 35. The Folgers, decaffeinated colors, the green and white numeral car. Chevrolet, he rides second. It is Jeff Bodine in third, and they are chasing that man, Eli. 3 car lengths up to Bobby Allison.
But closing in on Bobby in a hurry. You saw the interval of just a few laps ago. You see how it has shrunk here as he working early at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Oakwood Homes 500. Jimmy Means now dropping another couple of positions. He is back in 17th spot at this juncture as the front 3, for all intents and purposes, catching one another. There's Richard Petty moving past Larry Pearson, Neil Bonnet likewise, and closing in on Dave Marcus.
We mentioned Richard was not in his original car. He crashed that car Wednesday at qualifying, before the qualifying session. This is a backup car. In fact, this car ran a week ago at Wilkesboro. It's a short track car, a car that was nearly destroyed earlier in the year at Pocono.
The leader is Bobby Allison. That good second place battle behind him continuing. There's Jeff Bodine. He wants a piece of second, moves inside of the Folgers machine of Benny Parsons. Terry Labonte right there in 4th spot watching. And Jeff not working on the low side of the racetrack possibly as best he would like here, Jerry, although getting around well.
He may have lost a spot to Labonte, and yes, Labonte will slide by Bodine as Bodine's car got a little bit squirrely. That is Harry Gant behind the Bodine machine. Now it looks to be Parsons in second spot. Labonte is third, and Bodine is fourth.
And as always happens when some cars begin to battle, it allows those ahead of them to pull away, as Bobby Allison is doing. Here come Dale Earnhardt, number 3, Rusty Wallace, number 27, working their way back through race traffic. That's the battle for 7th and 8th position. Kenny Schrader, car number 90, is there in 9th spot. Alan Kulwicki is running 10th.
Take a look at the interval. Bobby Allison really doing the Hueytown hustle now, pulling away by 10 car lengths over the battle for second spot. That's Parsons, Labonte, and Bodine. But Allison really showing the strength. There's that battle for second again.
Alan Kulwicki watching further back in 10th spot as he moves inside. There you see Labonte moving inside of Benny Parsons and Jeff Bodine. Bodine's car seems to be working a bit better off the high side of the racetrack now, as he tries to take back the position that Labonte lifted from him a lap ago.
Well, apparently the inside is not the way to go here at Charlotte. You saw Bodine get drop kicked back to 4th a minute ago, and that just happened to Terry Labonte. He gets shuffled back by running the inside groove out of turn 4. Some campfire smoke, some camper smoke, putting the stakes on Eli out of turn 2.
Sounds like a heck of an idea.
I'll tell you.
There's the Bullseye barbecue sauce machine right behind now. Those 2 cars side by side at 17th. 52 is Jimmy Means. 29, Cale Yarborough. You see Jimmy going a bit higher on the banking than maybe he would like.
Field passing in review. They have now been able to reel in the leader, Bobby Allison, and it'll be a scamper. There is Petty running very, very high. Richard Petty's car getting loose, nearly contacts the wall, as moving underneath him again is Larry Pearson.
You'll be hearing more about Larry Pearson in our subsequent SETN telecast this season as we chase the Busch Grand National Championship to its conclusion. He's currently atop the heat. But look at that again. The battle behind Bobby Allison, the 22 car, has Labonte, Benny Parsons, Jeff Bodine now trying to hold off a challenge from Bill Elliott's Ford.
What do you think of it going through Bobby Allison's mind, Eli? He's sitting there looking in his rearview mirror, and there's 4 cars door to door. You can put a blanket over. He says, I got to get out of here. But Terry Labonte says, no, I'm going to stay with you. And one driver squeezing on the inside of Benny Parsons is Jeff Bodine. He needs to have a win this year. He is winless thus far in 87.
Benny's car went a bit higher through the corner coming off turn number 2. It opened the inside for Bodine. And again, Benny's car drives and drifts up the banking, allowing Bill Elliott to try the inside. Now a challenge for the lead. The Bud car, Terry Labonte, number 11, draws inside of Bobby Allison's Miller American Buick, so the brewery battle shuffles off into turn number 1.
The beer battle up front will be won by Labonte in turn 1. Labonte in the inside groove just nudges in front of Bobby Allison, so it'll be Chevrolet with Budweiser colors the leader, and the Buick of Bobby Allison, the pole sitter, now for the first time finds himself out of the point.
Jeff Bodine still right there in 3rd spot. Further back, there are Neil Bonnet, Dave Marcus, Michael Waltrip, Richard Petty. Field is strung out just a bit around the speedway, maybe a bit more quickly than we had expected.
The track, a double dogleg, 1.5-mile asphalt facility here. Beautiful track in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Trouble. Turn number 1. 3 is Dale Earnhardt. 90 is Ken Schrader. Hillen spins around. Oh, 52. Jimmy Means is involved. There's caution on the speedway as 5 or 6 cars get tangled up. There's Buddy Baker's Crisco Oldsmobile, number 88. Poor Jimmy Means. We've been following him. He had dropped down to 17th spot. Some flames from behind Buddy Baker's car.
Got to be oil and possibly some fuel. Look at the melee. Look at the carnage up there in turn 2. That's looking back toward turn 2. And the hood just flops up on the car number 90. That's Kenny Schrader's car. How is he seeing smoke and hood obstructing his view? Here comes Neil Bonnet sliding by. But look at the smoke boiling out of the car number 90 of Schrader. He tries to make his way back to pit road.
And while Kenny hustles that car back, you've got a feel for poor old Jimmy Means. He had, as we say, dropped back to another car involved, 19 Derek Cope, as Dale Earnhardt backs down the back straightaway now. Boy, after all the hype of this last couple of weeks with Means getting the ride in the Rick Hendrick car, it all ends up as it is just done in turn number 2. Here comes Kenny Schrader to the attention of Judy Donlevy and the rest of that Red Baron crew. And here comes Terry Labonte. Pat Patterson is there.
And gentlemen, the first caution flag of the day is brought to leader Terry Labonte of the number 11 Budweiser machine. And Junior Johnson's crew will just simply look under and around the car to check to make sure the tires are wearing properly. It'll be a quick gas stop, and Labonte's going to be down and away.
So Dale Earnhardt now the next to present himself on pit road after that multi-car incident. The crew going to work. Let's take another look maybe on this replay, which I understand is coming. We might get a better idea as to what happened there. Earnhardt and Schrader, the first 2 involved.
There's Schrader in Earnhardt's door. He slides down. Kowicki goes by. There's Lake Speed, Brett Bodine, Bobby Hill, and just misses Earnhardt. Now watch for Jimmy Means' car. There is Means' car. It's been tagged by Greg Sachs.
Let's go to the pitch.
Kenny, can you tell me what happened out there?
Well, Derek and Dale got together. Derek just plain old run into him and got Dale sideways. Dale sideways in front of me, and there's nothing I could do. But it's just one of them things. But it didn't make much difference this early in the race. We didn't need to be running that hard.
Okay, that's the word from Ken Schrader.
A disappointed Ken Schrader with that.
Well, he had a good run going, and the guy who never got an opportunity to get his good run going is Jimmy Means. That's what's left of the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet. Totally destroyed. That car will be put out to pasture. It is through racing competition, and what a tough break, Eli, for Jimmy Means.
The field is circulating under caution here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Oakwood Homes 500 continues when we come back.
Now we're with Jimmy Means, and Jimmy, a short afternoon this afternoon. What exactly happened down there?
Well, when I saw it, there's already 2 or 3 cars sideways, and I tried to go to the bottom, and he had started down. I already made my plans, and I couldn't go back up, and I just hit him. And then somebody got me in the back.
Well, I know everybody wanted to see you do well today, especially yourself. We're sorry to see you out of it, Jimmy.
Well, I hate to tear a race car up like that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Isn't that something, too, as they are back to green. There's the leader, Rick Wilson, as we check out the top 5 positions. You see the front 2 on your screen there, Rick Wilson and Terry Labonte. That's typical of Jimmy Means, though. Here's a guy who had so much pre-race hype, and the only thing he was concerned about is, I'm sorry I tore up Harry Hyde and Rick Hendrick's race car.
I tell you, Rick Hendrick and a lot of the people in that crew that were very impressed with Jimmy Means. Not only the fact that he practiced the car well, he qualified the car well. I got to believe they're going to give him another chance. That was not his fault.
The Kodak Films Oldsmobile leads. There you see the 2 Skoll cars. Harry Gant to your left and Benny Parsons, or at least Phil Parsons, shall we say, in car 55. Good battle for second now behind Rick Wilson. You see Bobby Allison inside of Labonte, then Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace. That's second place right there in the middle of your screen.
Allison a half a car length on Terry Labonte as trying to hold off again the Battle of the Beers. But Rick Wilson, no surprise, he did not qualify well the first day because they had problems with Speedy Dry, which is an oil dry on the racetrack when he went out to qualify. He qualified the second day, 170.5 miles an hour. That would have put him on the outside of the front row, but he started instead back in 21st spot.
And it's also a pretty good tip-off, too, because Rick will be the first to tell you. As a matter of fact, we were talking together, I believe, at the airport in Philadelphia not all that long ago. And he said, you know, I'm just not a good qualifier in general, although the Morgan McClure team give him good cars. He's normally far better in the race, and he is a qualifier. When he gets around the track that well in qualifying, you're right, he was letting everybody know exactly where he was coming from.
Well, another driver is letting him know where he's been and where he's going is Rusty Wallace. And Rusty running there back in fourth spot and problems, and looks like a tough day, and it could be over for Benny Parsons.
The hood is up, as you can quickly see on the Folgers coffee machine. Harry Hyde waving his hands, cut it off, cut it off. Pat Patterson is just about there, as you see the camera pivoting in his position.
As you can see, gentlemen, the problem on Benny Parsons' number 35 car is terminal. Harry Hyde making the judgment to his crew to take the car back into the garage area. It's going to be a short afternoon for the outside pole sitter here at Charlotte.
Well, a tough break again. And obviously with no questions, because Harry Hyde was immediately waving his hands back and forth. Dale Earnhardt and Neil Bonnet, a couple of hunting buddies out there for a Sunday afternoon ride.
You know, now Earnhardt, now the victim of that early crash, has lost 3 laps. So remember now, he is 3 laps down. He is the defending champion of this Oakwood Homes 500, and a year ago, he came from 2 laps down to win it. So you can see he's having some handling trouble. 2 drivers who aren't having problems with the handle of their cars are Bobby Allison and Jeff Bodine.
That's for second place. Working around Steve Christman's car, and still that orange car of Rick Wilson, the Kodak Films Oldsmobile. Rusty Wallace running well here. Barry Dotson and the crew. Jimmy Makar giving him a good ride. And there's Jeff Bodine, for the moment holding off Bobby Allison and the aforementioned Rusty Wallace.
Bodine, Bobby Allison in third, and then Rusty Wallace in fourth. The second, third, trouble up in the turn. Neil Bonnet has tagged the wall. Eli, a tough hit for Bonnet in the Valvoline Pontiac. The car coming careening across the grass. Boy, he has taken a lick as the car now comes to rest on the front straightaway at the midpoint of pit road.
A single car incident. Neil Bonnet, you see some flame from the right front wheel well, and that extinguishes itself. Neil Bonnet of Hueytown as Harold Kinder puts out the caution. A single car incident, and it looked as though the car just shot, Neil, you can see moving around in the car, looked as though the car just shot up the banking and tagged the wall between 3 and 4.
And he hit it a ton. There's the safety crew on the scene instantly as they have called him out. Looking, the fireman there, one crew member talking to Neil Bonnet. Neil sort of waves. Now some more of the crew come over. They will spray off the front of the car where he scraped that concrete, a lot of heat. They're waving for the safety crew.
Yeah, it looked like they're trying to get the medical crew there in a hurry, although we did clearly see Neil moving. Here comes as you see, the Charlotte life-saving crew. Many of the top teams now electing to begin their trip down pit road as we are under caution here for this incident involving Neil Bonnet. Here comes Dale Earnhardt off the banking. He's heading down pit road for service. Pat Patterson.
Dale Earnhardt brings the number 3 Wrangler machine in, and as you can see, in that first altercation, a lot of damage on the left-hand side of the car. Now, earlier, crews were trying to cut some of the sheet metal away because Earnhardt was complaining that the heat from the motor was getting through onto his leg. Earnhardt bidding for his second title here today at Charlotte. It's an unfortunate situation that happened earlier. Now it's a situation where they've got to just maintain and finish this race. The crew changing all 4 tires, trying to attend to some of the sheet metal damage. Dale Earnhardt is down and away.
And you can probably see in the background from that shot, they are still obviously attending to Neil Bonnet's car. There's Kenny Schrader again with the modified look.
Modifying the front of that Red Baron's Frozen Pizza Ford. He was involved in the first melee, of course, with Earnhardt. And Bob Johnson, the crew, sort of happily say, okay, go ahead. Hey, you see the front grille is exposed, the sheet metal is gone, and Schrader heads back on the speedway.
You mentioned Bob Johnson. This is going to be his last race with that team.
He will join the Bob Whitcomb team. Fields a new car next year for Kenny Bouchard. And Eli, while we're under caution, it gives us a chance for you to visit with one of the newest facilities, one of the unique facilities we've ever seen on the Winston Cup Tour. It's a brand new place here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it's called the Speedway Club. Now you get a big shot, and it towers over the front stretch. Beautiful glass facility. It has all kinds of opportunities for race fans, race drivers, and crew members. Tell us about it.
Well, Jerry, you're right. The Speedway Club here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway is really a one-of-a-kind facility as far as auto racing tracks are concerned, a brainchild of Humpy Wheeler.
Well, it's a beautiful restaurant. Hopefully will be the best place to dine in America when we get everything sorted out, sitting on top of a speedway. And a very unlikely place for a great dining club to be, but we did it, and it's working. I don't know of one that overlooks auto race tracks. There's a few of them that overlook horse tracks. Hopefully this is better than anybody has done anywhere, but The people are going to have to tell us that. It's not your typical down-home southern country club. We've got people from the north, south, east, west, and Germany and England. They come up here and it shocks them when they see this divinely beautiful place on top of a speedway.
Now you add to the dining facilities entertainment names like Louise Mandrell, the Letterman. All sorts of acts who might normally appear in Las Vegas have now made stops here at the Speedway Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. Truly an opportunity for the racing fan to sit back, enjoy Winston Cup and Busch Grand National Racing, and to do so in the plush facilities that offer a view unmatched anywhere in sports.
They are loading Neil Bonnet into an ambulance here as we have been away taking a look at the beautiful Speedway Club. Thank you, Eli, for telling us about that facility.
It is quite a spot, isn't it?
Oh, it's quite a beautiful sight. And this is not a beautiful sight. This is the remains of the Valvoline Pontiac. They have used the jaws of life to peel the roof back. The car is mangled in the accident, and they have extricated Neil Bonnet. He is on his way to the hospital.
We'll, of course, pass along a medical update as soon as we have it. We'll be right back. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway with Dr. Jerry Punch and Pat Patterson, I'm Eli Gold. This is SETN's coverage of the Oakwood Homes 500. And on the restart following the accident involving Neil Bonnet, car number 27, Rusty Wallace, holding off a challenge from Bobby Allison. That is for the lead right now. The average speed at this point having dropped with that lengthy caution to 108 miles an hour, as Bobby Allison now is the leader with Rusty Wallace holding off second spot. Terry Labonte's car is third in line ahead of Alan Kulwicki's Xerox Ford Thunderbird.
There's Kulwicki's Xerox Thunderbird. Behind him, of course, is Ricky Rudd, the car number 15. Then comes the car number 4, Rick Wilson. Then Jeff Bodine as the field comes thundering by. And now back in the pack, Lake Speed, a good run for him, but a very good run for Mike Waltrip. His new crew chief, Mike Beam, bringing that team along.
This is for second spot now. Terry Labonte inside of Rusty Wallace. Again, you see Bobby Allison, the 22. That's the interval between first place and the second place battle. Not a whole heck of a lot of breathing room as that battle for second spot still underway here through the front stretch into turn 1.
And a pair of Fords have run those two cars down. That would be Kulwicki and Rudd. But keep an eye on Rick Wilson. He is coming to the front in a hurry. And that's the man they're chasing right there, Bobby Allison.
See how low Rick Wilson was working through the turns, far lower. Car number 4, you see, he and Labonte both glued to the low side of the racetrack. And even at this point, Wilson's still even lower than Labonte.
Tony Glover and that Morgan McClure crew have really got the Kodak Oldsmobile dialed in. They're back in the pack, some good running. Good run. That's Bill Elliott back there. But look at Rick Wilson, that bright yellow car with the orange bobbing and weaving, trying to keep the car off the apron. He was down so low. There he is, those left side tires on that line. He pulls up beneath and, whoa, just about gives Terry Labonte a little howdy. You know, in the rear bumper there, as they are running at 170-plus miles per hour.
And now those Ford Thunderbirds asserting themselves. Kulwicki and Ricky Rudd, the 7 and 15 cars, bursting free from that pack of race traffic with the white car with the green trim. Rusty Wallace's Kodiak Pontiac leading the event. Actually, we've seen some good racing all the way back through the field at this point. Phil Parsons now further back breaking into the top 10, but we're still looking at the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th on back. And look at Richard Petty also right there, the STP Pontiac. You see he and Bobby Hillen Jr. as they battle for position after starting shotgun in the case of Richard Petty.
Now, Bobby Hillen, this is an important event for him, but a couple of weeks from now, even a more important event. He will get married in Midland, Texas. We have trouble.
Michael Waltrip. Sterling Marlin spins. Others take the evasive move. Davey Allison, the 64 Trevor Boys, just taking to the nicely manicured. I'll tell you, this lawn here has taken more share of abuse here this weekend. There's Michael Waltrip, the all-pro auto parts machine, evidently up in smoke. And while he now will come to arrest his brother, Darrell Waltrip, one of the quick cars off the banking, heading down pit road for a quick stop.
And gentlemen, action is on to pit road again as we're under caution in Charlotte. This is the number 17 Tide machine of Darrell Waltrip. He'll come in, top it off with gas, and be gone. A very veteran crew here with Waltrip. An earlier win at Martinsville this year. Looks for another one today at Charlotte.
Well, we'll start early in the Oakwood Homes 500, and already we're beginning to fill the garage area with attrition. But here are a couple of guys who have been battling up front all afternoon. The pole sitter, Bobby Allison, looking for win number 84. He is currently tied for third on the all-time win list with Cale Yarborough. Right side tires, Pat Broyles and the crew, Jimmy Finnick going to work on the Miller Buick for Bobby Allison. It'll be a 4-tire change for Rusty Wallace. There's Barry Dodson and the crew. Here's Joey Knuckles, the Haviland crew. Vernier Lundy Ford, the car that's been so impressive this year with young rookie sensation Davey Allison aboard.
And you know, Joey Knuckles, one of the more exciting tire changers. He works on that right front tire. It's like a high-speed ballet watching him work.
Drag racing down pit road, and look at the speedy dry up in turn 4. It looks like snow blowing across a mountaintop there as there's Petty coming by. Lake Speed, Steve Chrisman, the Coates and Clark's effort for Dale Jarrett. They're trying to work that speedy dry. They come through the clouds there in turn 4.
And if you're just joining us wondering where your favorite driver might be running as we're getting the 1-to-go indication from Harold Kinder, Jerry, as you mentioned, the attrition rate has been fairly high. Most recently, Michael Waltrip is out of the event. Pat Patterson has a thought.
Gentlemen, the story here today is the garage area. We started 42 cars here, and now as you can see behind me, we've got almost 11 cars already in the garage area with less than 130 laps into this event. The story may be attrition as the day goes on, but whatever is causing these problems, we've certainly got a whole bunch of cars that are out of it very early here at Charlotte.
Well, it's hard to count cars, Pat, because they're in little piles and little pieces in there with all the banging we've had and the carnage we've had at this track so far. There aren't really that many complete cars in the garage, Eli.
Good point. It really is. Set to go back to green flag racing, and Morgan Shepherd, his car now near the front of the line as Harold Kinder says, keep it in line until we get the green, and there is Shepherd, the number 26, ahead of Dale Earnhardt's car. Earnhardt now showing a couple of laps down, having made up one of the laps in arrears that he was earlier.
And he's about to try to get another lap back by moving inside of Morgan Shepherd. Now, Earnhardt, remember, a year ago, came from 2 laps down as he slides beneath Morgan Shepherd and does make the pass. That'll put him on the tail end, showing 1 lap down on the tail end of that lap. But remember, a year ago, Earnhardt came from 2 laps back and won this race. 2 years ago, Cale Yarborough came from 2 laps back and won this race. I believe you got to lose at least a couple laps in order to go to victory lane here at Charlotte.
Sounds like it. There's Phil Parsons. He was running in 10th spot. Problems for the Skoll machine, number 55. Let's see if Phil is going to be able to make it back around or if we'll have a caution flag here. No caution yet, but obviously problems for Phil Parsons. Tough break. He was running well.
And Phil has really had that car humming up front, and there's a beautiful view of the Speedway Club and the suites and the crowds as they have jammed their way into Charlotte Motor Speedway for this fall classic, the Oakwood Homes 500.
Do stay with us as our coverage of the Oakwood Homes 500 continues from Charlotte right after this. We did go to caution because of Phil Parsons, and we're getting set to go back to green flag racing. There's the leaderboard as it stands right now. I'm Eli Gold with Dr. Jerry Punch and Pat Patterson and the rest of our SETN crew. A lot of racing coming your way yet this season. Winston Cup cars from Martinsville and the Busch Grand National Series chase for the championship, all right here. Hope you can spend the winter months with us here on SETN. Green flag from Harold Kinder. Wonder if Harold has his TV teeth in today.
He probably does. He had them soaking overnight on the table there by the bed. And there we are up front. Looks like Earnhardt will again go around Morgan Shepherd. No, we're just kidding, Harold. There's Earnhardt getting another lap back, and he continues to reel in those lead laps as he had lost 3, remember, early in this race from that accident in turn 2.
Morgan Shepherd, Harry Gant, Sterling Marlin. Seriously, I remember a few years ago when somebody gave Harold a set of TV teeth, those plastic teeth that you might have seen in your novelty store, and each tooth had a rhinestone implanted in it, which they asked Harold to use during telecasts. Harry Gant to the outside of Sterling Marlin. Harry's had a year, hasn't he? He's had a career this year, the way I'm sure it feels to him.
Well, I guess if you could have bad luck for an entire year, every single race, Harry Gant has done it. You know, it's been since back at Bristol in August since he's even finished a race, so they have certainly had their troubles.
Sterling Marlin, the 44, the 11, Terry Labonte, 27, Rusty Wallace. Bill Elliott, not overly asserting himself, but there he is again, hanging around the lead pack of cars.
Look at the king to the right of your screen there. Richard Petty, the 7-time Winston Cup champion. That's a short track car he has here on a 1.5-mile track, and he was wheeling that car to the front. Speaks well for Dale Inman and the fellows who have worked so hard to get that car competitive.
For those who don't know the difference, this car looks exactly like every other STP Pontiac that Richard Petty has ever driven this year. What is one a short track car? Why is one a speedway car? What's the difference?
Well, the short track cars have a little bit of weight, different ratios of weight on the left side of the car. A little more left side weight, so the car will turn on the 1/2-mile and 5/8-mile tracks. You have a more of a neutral car for the speedways. Petty, this is the car he ran at North Wilkesboro a few weeks ago. In fact, this car is the car Joe Ruttman wrecked at Pocono earlier in the year. And Richard Petty getting the job done right now. He's holding off the likes of Terry Labonte and Brett Bodine, or Jeff Bodine.
And everybody's going by Harry Gant. Harry Gant coming off the banking and onto pit road. Speaking about Harry Gant, I guess it's like being on the cover of Sports Illustrated here lately. We talk, and off to the racetrack he goes.
They're going to have to take his palm print out of his forehead. He's just hit himself in the head so many times this year when problems he is again on pit road. But a couple of guys who are having a pretty good day are those cars there. That's Bill Elliott and Bobby Allison. And it's good to see Bobby, the veteran Winston Cup campaigner, running so well here at Charlotte.
Good look at the speeds that these cars generate. Rick Wilson, Jeff Bodine, the 83 Lake Speed, car number 8, Bobby Hillen Jr. Trouble, and Rick Wilson and Jeff Bodine get together. Hard hit, Hillen is collected. Darrell Waltrip, Brett Bodine, Alan Kowicki. Brett goes up the wall, tags with his brother Jeff Bodine. And we are under caution, needless to say. Dave Marcus's car comes down. He spins on the back straightaway.
Oh, that's Marcus and Hillen as they do the dipsy-doodle out of turn 2 and dance around. A.J. Foyt goes to the inside. And again, turn 2 is the place where the carnage takes place.
Remarkable. What do we count? About 7 or 8 cars. We had Darrell Waltrip, Dave Marcus, Wilson and Bodine. Jeff Bodine started. Bobby Hillen. Kulwicki was involved. Terry Labonte, Brett Bodine.
And there's Brett's Bullseye barbecue car. That's what's left of Alan Kulwicki's car. He makes his way back to pit road.
We count 8 cars involved. Let's look again. Before the orange car, Rick Wilson looks from this angle as though he gets into Jeff Bodine and starts Jeff spinning.
Well, Wilson is trying to give Lake Speed some room down there. You can't get 3 cars wasting in turn 1. That's what happened. Now, Jeff Bodine is sideway. Rick Wilson has nowhere to go now. It's slow motion, but they're going 170+ miles per hour. There's Bobby Hillen. He's involved. Beneath, Davey Allison makes a good move to stay out of it.
Yeah, I missed that the first time around.
Darrell Waltrip now just cannot get away from Bobby Hillen. His right front is involved. Look at the carnage. Here comes more cars. Brett Bodine, the bottom of your screen, just nicks the left front of Kulwicki, but Bodine can't get his car woed down. He, too, tags Bobby Hillen. Bodine's car spinning. We're talking about Brett now, the red number 1 on the bottom of your screen.
The interesting thing is here, he's on the flat of the racetrack, but the car goes back up the banking, and here comes his brother.
A meeting of Bodines at 160 now miles per hour. Ooh, and Brett Bodine head on to the concrete wall, and both those cars have been destroyed.
And then you see Bobby Hillen Jr., number 8. He will, if we stay with this picture long enough, he collects with Dave Marcus in just a moment or so. We'll see if we can keep this picture going just a tad longer, possibly not. We'll zero in on Jeff Bodine, but Hillen and Dave Marcus get together on the back straightaway.
A total of 8 cars involved, and there is Marcus
Here
coming
comes
by.
Marcus now.
As he will go down and be eventually involved trying to get the car woed down with Bobby Hillen. How quickly the complexion can change here at Charlotte. And there's what's left of the Kodak Oldsmobile. What a great run Rick Wilson was having.
Now we see Rick walking around. He is okay. Matter of fact, Pat Patterson is zeroing in on him in a moment, but not much left of that race car. Pat?
It looked like there were 3 cars going in from what I could see. What happened?
I don't understand Lake Speed. You know, I got up under Bodine coming down the straightaway, and he had me beat going in the corner. You know, I got out of it right going in the corner and gave him some room, and next thing I know, I looked in the corner of my eye, and there was Lake Speed. And I'd done committed on the bottom, giving Bodine the whole outside. I mean, to go around me. You know, Lake knows we can't go 3 deep in these corners. I don't know what he was trying to do. He knew Bodine was up there. So he hit me, I hit Bodine, and it took out a lot of good race cars.
Well, Rick, we're sorry to see you out of it.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at this again as Rick Wilson walks off. We'll have another replay as Darrell Waltrip's crew going to work on the right front, or continuing work. That's now, you see Lake Speed's on the low side of the racetrack.
Lake Speed inside of Rick Wilson. Wilson's right front of the Kodak Oldsmobile, connects the left rear of the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. And now it started. The Chevrolet spinning. Jeff Bodine has no control at 170 miles an hour. He gets a punch in the door there from Rick Wilson. Lake Speed slides by. Now Bobby Hillen joins the fray. Hillen will tag the door of Rick Wilson. Darrell Waltrip has nowhere to go. It is another door tag for Waltrip.
Interesting thing there, though, is that there was a good car length or so between Lake Speed and everybody else. He didn't seem to engage anyone else.
No contact that we could see. And now look at Brett Bodine. Brett has not been able to get that car slowed down. He tags Bobby Hillen, and the car of Bodine is going to spin to the right. He has the wheels turned to the right.
That's Brett, number one.
Number one. Now the lower left wheel will catch the track and shoot across the racetrack right in front of his brother Jeff. Jeff tags him in the right rear, but most importantly, head on. Brett Bodine into the concrete wall of turn 2.
So we are, needless to say, under caution. This is the 5th caution flag of the day. If you're just joining us, Neil Bonnet was the reason for a caution flag earlier today. The second caution, we are just getting an update from the medical center that Neil, they are afraid, has a broken leg, and they are going to transport him to the Cabarrus Medical Center in Concord, just down the road a piece, for further check there. Meanwhile, Jeff Bodine is with Pat Patterson.
With Jeff Bodine, obviously very disappointed. It looked like it was 3 abreast going in. What happened?
Well, it wasn't 3 abreast going in. From what they tell me, Lake Speed ran into Rick Wilson and Rick ran into me. You know, I had a vibration. I was slowing down, just trying to ride it out until a caution came out, and Rick had gotten under me up here, but I'd gone back by him down the front straightaway, and I don't know what Lake was thinking of. Number one, you can't go 3 abreast into that corner. And number 2, he was just over his head going in the corner. He wasn't going to turn. He had to hit something. If it wasn't Rick, it was going to be me, or if it wasn't me, it was going to be the wall. He's just playing over his head. And NASCAR's watching. A lot of people are watching. Something needs to be done. I was a victim yesterday here of inexperience, of driver over his head, doing something he shouldn't have done. Today I'm a victim of the same thing. A driver way over his head. His equipment is far better than what he's been, and he's just trying to go too hard. And NASCAR needs to clamp down on drivers. I don't know how, but they need to. Give them a test. Maybe give us malpractice insurance so we can protect ourselves.
Okay, that's the story. We're sorry to see out of you.
Thank you.
As we go back to green, I don't know, Jerry, if I missed something, but I sure as heck didn't see Lake Speed touch anyone.
Well, now Rick Wilson, you got to remember Rick Wilson and Jeff Bodine, neither one had the advantage of the instant replay as we've been able to see now a couple of times. I didn't see any contact from Lake Speed's car. It looked like Lake had a clean move on the inside of Rick Wilson, but the contact took place in turn 1.
We'll be right back. At Motor Speedway as Dale Earnhardt, car number 3, motors around A.J. Foyt. Haven't talked much about Supertex today.
Well, the 4-time Indy 500 winner is just not having a good day. He is still running, but not up to full speed. The Copenhagen Oldsmobile, paired by Dick Hutchinson and the crew that have a shop nearby the Speedway. You see him being passed now by Rusty Wallace. Ricky Rudd has already gone by. Supertex is not having the best of years on the Winston Cup Tour.
Lake Speed moving to the high side of A.J. Foyt. But I'll tell you something, if the thing's got wheels on it, A.J. will try and drive it.
And he can drive it, too. When he climbed in an IMSA car a year or so ago and won the 24 hours, it was thoroughly impressive as we were there and saw that, and just what a tremendous chauffeur he is.
There's the Allison family, Davey and the Haviland Star, car number 28, and Bobby in car number 22. They had a very nice pre-race deal here today. It was family day, and drivers were encouraged to bring their children up onto the stage and introduce them to the crowd. And most of the fellas brought their young children with them, sons and daughters. And then here came Bobby Allison, the pole sitter. He said, and I've got Davey here with me. And it was a nice little scene.
You know, Bobby says Davey just has learned no respect this year because he's only won once, and Davey's won twice in a rookie season. So, but I think Bobby teaching his young son some respect right now. The Miller Buick showing the way, and the Haviland Star Thunderbird about a half a car length back.
Cale Yarborough and the Hardy's Olds, the third picture, or the third car, I should say, in your picture there. He's had an up-and-down type of season. Just watching Dale Earnhardt here. Dale doesn't seem to be getting off the corners and actually around the track quite as decisively now as earlier. Here comes Rusty Wallace closing in and going right around Earnhardt. He's not up to speed.
Earnhardt going very gingerly into turns 1 and 2. It continues to slow out of turn 2. Possibly has some damage, lingering damage. Now, you know, he lost 3 laps in that early accident, but made those 3 laps up, but now he's got a problem.
Took a pretty good lick, too.
Yeah, he and Schrader, those 2 cars there, came together for that first caution flag, and now both those cars slowing and headed to pit road, apparently. Schrader's front completely gone. Earnhardt damage to the left side of the car. Earnhardt and Schrader bump a little bit coming down pit road, but both slowly make their move.
Pat Patterson is right there in the Earnhardt pits. Pat?
Dale Earnhardt bringing the number 3 Wrangler car in. He has absolutely no brakes. He's not going to be able to stop the car as he goes completely by his pit. Now he's finally got this car almost stopped, but it speeds up again. So Earnhardt not able to stop his automobile to change those ever-desperate brakes.
Well, that explains why Schrader and he got together there.
Exactly. Schrader, who had been behind pit wall for quite a few laps, had nothing to lose. Apparently, they radioed Kenny Schrader. Now we're being told on the team radios they had indeed radioed Kenny Schrader to slow down Earnhardt. So Schrader slows down in front of Earnhardt, hopefully letting Dale bump against his rear bumper to slow him down enough to stop the car on pit road, but it didn't work.
And now, while you're looking at Dale Earnhardt heading towards pit road, on pit road, the Earnhardt crew and other crew members from neighboring pit stalls are coming out onto pit road, and they're going to have to manually, Jerry, try and bring this car to a stop.
Now, he's still going about 45 or 50 miles per hour. He's not going as slow as it may appear. Here he is coming down pit road. They're going to try to get the car woed down. There's the crew members, and Pat Patterson is there.
Wrangler's Dale Earnhardt now trying to get some assist from some other crews. This is a 3,700-pound car, and guys are trying to grab hold of it to stop it. They're not going to be able to do it. Stay here. Be careful. Earnhardt's crew finally gets the car stopped with a little help from Alan Kowicki's Xerox crew. They're going to push the automobile back. He has no brakes on the car, the man who's going for his 2nd consecutive championship in the Wrangler Jeans Chevrolet. Now the hood will go up, and there'll be a lot of surgical work done on this car before he'll be able to get back. Gentlemen?
And with you being our resident surgeon, Jerry, as a bona fide MD, what can they do here to fix this automobile and get brakes back under that car?
Well, apparently they're going to doctor the brake line on the front of the car. Is that car losing all the fluid and the brakes, and it did get the car woed down, and he is losing valuable time. We are under green here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Oakwood Homes 500.
And you talk about a heartbreaker. If you joined us along the way, that car had been 3 laps down at one point. He made those laps back. He was running on the lap again with the leaders, only to have this problem. We'll be right back to Charlotte.
Crew chief on Bobby Allison's Miller American number 22 car. Jimmy, car's up front. Seems like it's doing okay.
Yeah, Bobby's pretty well pleased with it. It was tight at the beginning of the race, and we just loosened up a little bit, and he seems pretty comfortable right now.
Is it a strategy that if it can run as hard, if you can run it as hard as you can, is that what he wants to do?
Well, Bobby runs the race car as hard as the car will anyway.
Okay, that's the story down at Bobby Allison's pit, gentlemen.
Jimmy Fennig, formerly the crew chief for Mark Martin on his short track programs.
And before that, he worked with Bobby Allison on the ASA trail.
There you see the leaderboard through the top 5 positions. Further back, still running on the lead lap, Terry Labonte. They're showing A.J. Foyt on the lead lap, but we'll have to reconfirm that one with NASCAR timing and scoring here in just a moment. There's Richard Petty. He's been a strong force today. They're also showing Rusty Wallace in the 8th spot. 9th is Davey Allison, and Lake Speed is 10th. Average speed 118.931 miles an hour. And now Rusty Wallace is slowing down, coming off the corner as Dave Marcus goes around him to the high side. Rusty Wallace heading down pit road for an unscheduled stop.
Kodiak Pontiac comes to a halt, and the crew there, Barry Dodson, Jimmy May car, and the crew working on that car. They raise the hood, and what's the problem with the Rusty Wallace car, Pat?
Well, the story down in Rusty Wallace's pit, gentlemen, is the fact that the car is overheating. They got some problems on the very front end with the radiator on that car. They've got some water they're being poured to it to try to cool the motor down some, but this is an obvious, real tough break for Rusty Wallace based on a number of things. The first one is, this is putting him laps down now, but this is the same type of thing that happened to him earlier this year during the World 600. An overheating problem took him out then, and it looks like it's going to become a big problem for him today. Gentlemen?
You talk about the World 600, Pat, you know, with 9 laps to go, or pardon me, with 20 laps to go, he had a 9-second lead on the field. They began to lose cylinders. The car overheated. He finished the race on 3 cylinders. You couldn't race a good lawnmower on 3 cylinders, Eli. He ended up finishing 10th.
That battle right there for the lead. Bobby Allison in number 22, Bill Elliott in car number 9. Again, the brewery battle, this time Miller and Adolph Coors.
Remarkable how strong Bobby Allison has been all afternoon. In the past 3 weeks, there have been what they call performance trials here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the man who won it all in the performance trials, or practice runs, or whatever you want to call it, testing, was Bobby Allison. They have been here, they have done their homework, and they are showing what they can do. One driver who's showing what he can do all the way back from 41st spot. They call him the king for a reason. What a day for Richard Petty.
He's running well. Larry Pearson is running well. The man who is currently Busch Grand National champion of a season ago and is well on his way to this season. He's still running, as you saw on the leaderboard, among the top 5. With Rusty Wallace having been lapped, there are just 7 cars on the lead lap at this point.
Now, Cale Yarborough is not one of the cars on the lead lap. He is the meat in that sandwich between Richard Petty and Terry Labonte. There goes Labonte by in the Budweiser car, but Cale trying to make up some room, showing to be pretty strong in the Hardee's Oldsmobile. They have had a long year and a lot of trouble, but they are getting that team organized. And Cale, well, they're going to run the full season next year. But there's the battle there for position on the racetrack and in the top 5. Labonte moves inside Richard Petty.
They'll try and squeeze to the outside of Phil Parsons. Labonte takes advantage going into turn number 3 to grab the spot. And here comes Bobby Allison on a pit road for attention from Jimmy Fennig and the crew. Here comes Richard Petty, Dale Inman, and the rest of the STP Pontiac crew waiting for him.
Scheduled pit stops for Richard Petty and Bobby Allison. There's the Allison crew. Pat Broyles, Jimmy Fennig and the crew now changing right side tires. Looks to be a good pit stop, getting all the fuel. Now they're holding the car on the jack to get the final amount of fuel in. Allison's car swims a little bit sideways coming out of pit road, about 19.5 seconds. Same for Richard Petty. Kenny Wilson and the crew.
Oh, and here's Larry Pearson. We had just talked about him. Larry Pearson in the Chattanooga Chew Machine. He spins and quickly brings the car to a halt. Good job. That wall was not going to give.
Excellent job of finding the brake pedal by the young Pearson, oldest son of 2-time Winston Cup champion David.
You had mentioned they were keeping those cars on pit road up on the jack. When you drop the car off the jack, that's pretty much the indication for the driver to take off down pit road. And we are under caution. Larry Pearson unable to get the car refired. So for the 7th time today, we are under caution. And now Larry Pearson gets his mount on the way. Don't leave us now. There's lots more racing coming from the Charlotte Motor Speedway as the Oakwood Homes 500 continues. Here at Charlotte, that's the running order as you see it on the SETN leaderboard. I'm Eli Gold, Jerry Punch, Pat Patterson, and the rest of our SETN crew standing by to bring you the final laps. Not all that far now, within shouting distance of this 334-lap event, as Harold Kinder puts him under green one more time.
Back to full-speed racing. Impressive run for Sterling Marlin. Now they have gotten Jake Elder, Suitcase Jake Elder, who has been the crew chief for many, almost everyone that's been competitive in Winston Cup competition has had a contact with Jake sometime or another over their careers. David Pearson started with Jake Elder, Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, many more have been able to get the tutelage of Jake Elder, and he certainly is working magic now for the Piedmont Underalls crew, and Sterling Marlin currently showing in 4th spot.
There you see the race leader, Bill Elliott, number 9. Second in the standings is car number 11, Terry Labonte. Richard Petty, the STP Pontiac, he is a lap down. Unfortunate, too, because he is running well enough, certainly now, Jerry, to keep up with the leaders as we see.
Well, he's currently being shown in 5th spot, although he is 1 lap down, but the car running so well, he is staying in front of that beer battle back in the pack. The Miller Buick of Bobby Allison has been so strong all day, and the Budweiser car, freshman win last week at Wilkesboro, that's Terry Labonte, of course.
As we've been talking about that battle all day long, Bill Elliott has really asserted himself here of late. Pat Patterson making his way, actually is there now. He's standing by with Dan Elliott, Bill's brother, and it's quite a story.
Well, gentlemen, looks like it's boiling down to a battle of the beer companies. The Coors car out front, the Miller car chasing it. Dan Elliott, Bill's brother, is he running the car as hard as he can right now?
Well, I'm not in the car, but I'm sure he's giving it everything he's got.
As far as the chassis setup, Dan, is there anything wrong with the car right now?
No, we've done everything we can physically do right now, and it's up to God and Bill to get us onto the checkered flag. So unless we have a caution or anything goes wrong with the car, he's just going to have to run as hard as he can run to stay ahead of Bobby.
Okay, that's a story from the Bill Elliott pit.
That's a tough combination to beat, too. God and Bill.
That's tough. Both of them have had a good year.
Oh, if the lightning starts flying, I'm leaving the booth. That's Jerry Punch. I'm Eli Gold. You just saw Pat Patterson. Dale Earnhardt, after losing, 6 laps on pit road earlier for those repairs, he's still out there running. He's got brakes back again and goes by Bill Elliott. Oh, you wonder whether Bill might have just let him by a little bit, too. No need to have a big battle this late in the event.
Now, when you consider the damage on that car and the problems that Earnhardt has had, you've got to be impressed with the way that thing is running. Elliott says, where did he come from? Of course, he is laps down, so he has no concern of Bill Elliott's, although Bill says, now, maybe I'd like to pass him back. But remember back in May what happened here at Charlotte? We don't want to have any deja vu as what happened here in the Winston, of course, the 600 when those cars got together and did a little bit of sheet metal exchange. And Elliott says, well, back again you go. Here I go again. So Elliott, the leader in the Coors Ford, battling with the fellow who will become the Winston Cup champion. These are 1 and 2 in the Winston Cup point standings. Earnhardt, 573 points ahead of Austin Bill in the point standings. But right now, in this battle today, Earnhardt will win the war, but the battle belongs to Bill Elliott.
Elliott staying on the inside groove. Earnhardt keeping that Chevrolet wound up. Lou LaRosa is the engine builder from my hometown, Brooklyn, New York. We both found the light and moved south.
Lou's an excellent engine builder. Just took an interpreter to understand what he was saying for a few months after he moved down to North Carolina. What a super guy, building engines. He's built 30 winning engines over the past few years for the Childress team.
Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte, 44 and 11 respectively. Ricky Redden, car number 15. Cale Yarborough's Hardy's Oldsmobile, number 29. Sterling's had a good run today.
Sterling Marlin, what a year they've had, up and down. Billy Hagan, they've had some management changes in the team. Only 3 top 5 finishes for the year. 2 fourths at Darlington and a 5th at Dover. This could be their best run of the season.
He is 3rd right now. Number 22, Bobby Allison, is 2nd. Number 9, Bill Elliott, is the race leader. Been a longish day, but the competition has never waned. That's one thing. If the battle has not been for the lead, it's been for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8th position. Terry Labonte, he is on the lead lap and has been there all day long. So we're getting down to it. The final laps of the Oakwood Homes 500 just around the corner. We'll take you down the stretch run as soon as we come back. Stick around. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Here's how the leaderboard stacks up. Good run for Richard Petty. Well, he's hanging in there. Could well be a moral victory, Jerry, if nothing else.
All the way from shotgun on the field, he's now showing in the top 5. A tremendous effort for the 7-time Winston Cup champion. I am impressed, and a lot of people are with the kind of show he's put on today.
Of course, you got to be impressed with Bill Elliott. We mentioned about 40 minutes or so ago how he was just hanging around the lead cars all day, and now he is the leader. Pat Patterson has been with us running all day, and he's catching his breath now. Pat, what do you think?
As you can see, gentlemen, there are no problems in the Coors Melling pit. Bill Elliott firmly out in front of Bobby Allison. We talked with the crew. Absolutely nothing that they can change on the car. It's kind of like Dan Elliott said. It's up to Brother Bill right now. A few laps left to go. Back upstairs.
And we thank Pat Patterson. He's worn out the sneakers today, running up and down pit road. The attrition rate has been high. Bobby Allison is in 2nd spot. A few years of experience, Jerry. You get 1st and 2nd today, huh?
You know, Bobby has seen this play before. He has been to this act. He has seen the curtain call. You know, back in '72, he sat on the pole here at Charlotte, his only previous pole. He led a good bit of that race and ended up finishing in second spot. That's where he is today after sitting on the pole in the Oakwood Homes 500. The man he's chasing is right there. No, not Cale Yarborough, the man in front of Cale. Awesome Bill Elliott.
Jam-packed Charlotte Motor Speedway, which interestingly is not really in Charlotte at all. It used to be in Harrisburg, North Carolina. And actually they didn't pick up and move the racetrack, but there was an interesting annexation.
A trick question. Where is Charlotte Motor Speedway? It's in Concord.
It's in Concord, that's right. 5 laps to go, as you see. You might have seen the picture in the newspaper a few weeks ago when part of the speedway was annexed by Concord, North Carolina. And the sign said Concord city limits, speed limit 200 miles an hour, and they posted that right off turn 4 here at the track.
Laps winding down. Richard Petty there holding a spot solidly in the top 5. The STP Pontiac now getting a challenge from the Motorcraft Ford of Ricky Rudd.
He's running 11th, Ricky Rudd is. You know, we had mentioned at the outset of the telecast we were going to talk a bit more about Ernie Irvin, and we really haven't as we watch Bill Elliott with laps winding down. He's a fellow who has Dale Earnhardt's sponsorship on the side of his car, Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet, and Ernie Irvin he's run with a few of these events now, and he's made a pretty good showing.
Ernie's a 28-year-old driver from Salinas, California. He was a former Stockton, California racetrack champion. He moved east back in '82. He's been running short tracks around the Charlotte area at Concord Speedway. He ran some go-karts for a while, Tri-County Speedway in North Carolina. He picked up a ride. He impressed Earnhardt because he's just like Dale. He came from nowhere with nothing, and he's a super race car driver. You will hear a lot of Ernie Irvin next year.
Meanwhile, it's Bill Elliott, another guy who started very much in the grassroots of this sport. He continues to lead here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I've forgotten where we were. We were talking about so many cities here for a while. Just a couple of laps to go in the Oakwood Homes 500.
Bobby Allison's got to be thinking, Eli, I've been up front all day long. I've led this thing. I have been so strong, and Bill Elliott stood back there and just was biding his time, saving that car. But Elliott is the man to beat as the laps wind down. That red, white numeral car number 9, the Coors Ford. Only one victory in his career here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That coming in this race 3 years ago, 1984. Bill Elliott went on to win and go to victory lane. White flag for the final lap, I say, Eli, and Harold Kinder is going to get a rest. He's been in that flag stand some 4 hours this afternoon, and he's ready to go home too, I think.
The man who won here back on Memorial Day, Kyle Petty, in the Coca-Cola World 600, he is now in 10th spot in the Wood Brothers Ford, and he's having a good day, but it's right now all Bill Elliott, working his way through turns 3 and 4 with the checkered flag now in sight.
Half a mile from win number 21 on his career. 32-year-old Bill Elliott takes the checkered flag. He turned 32 years of age, and there's jubilation on pit road as the Coors Melling crew. There's Dan Elliott in the front there hugging his wife, Ernie and the rest of the crew, and Dad George at the left of your screen with the glasses. And there's the man who did it, Bill Elliott, the winner in the Coors Ford.
We will, of course, have comments from Bill in victory lane, so don't leave us now. There's more to come. But it's turned out to be a glorious run for Bill Elliott on a simply glorious day here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Unofficially, second is Bobby Allison, Sterling Marlin third, then Terry Labonte and Richard Petty. We'll be right back.
Race car drivers running with the family car oil? These do. Winners like Jeff and Brett Bodine, Tim Richmond, and Darrell Walter. They use the same new Superflow 10W30 motor oil you can buy in stores. It has this special additive wear band that's super at blocking wear. Right, guys?
Right!
Good catch. You play football?
No, too dangerous!
Want your engine to last? Go with the Flow. new Superflow.
Victory lane ceremonies underway. Pat Patterson.
And Bill Elliott climbs out of the number 9 car. Bill, congratulations. A great run this afternoon. Your 4th victory in the 1987 season. You look tired. It was a tough race.
I'll tell you what, I ran as hard as I could all day long, and I just ended up front there at the end. And everything worked. I was really worried about gas mileage there at the end, and everything worked out.
It seemed like the chore out there today, Bill, was to really stay out of all the trouble and the problems that everybody had.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was so close to so many things, it was unbelievable. When the 30 car blew up here, I was right below him, and I was nearly in that crash and so many more. Man, I was just so lucky.
Well, I know this is the way you want to end the season, on a positive note. A couple more races to go, and I know you and your crew will stay pumped up for those.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dale ran good whenever he got down, but, our old car did good there at the end, and it really said something about, not winning here in May and the Winston and everything, and tell you what, thank Coors and Harry Melling with their support, and I look forward to being with Motorcraft next year. And Ford's done a super good job with me also.
You think they're blowing that siren down there in Dawsonville at the pool room tonight?
I certainly hope so.
Okay, that's Bill Elliott in Victory Lane here at Charlotte for the Oakwood Homes 500.
I guarantee you the siren is blasting down at the center in Dawsonville, Georgia. Whenever Bill Elliott wins, they hook that siren up there. And, of course, he did today. Bill Elliott picking up win number 4 of the season. Bobby Allison finishing 2nd. Sterling Marlin is 4th. 3rd. Terry Labonte 4th. And Richard Petty, a good run. He finishes 5th.
Coming home in the 6th spot today with a good run for him, Larry Pearson, who basically had one bit of a problem, and that was all. And he had that Chattanooga Chew machine running well. Lake Speed. We talked to Bernie Irvin with a good 8th place finish. Darrell Waltrip and Kyle Petty, who, of course, we mentioned after his win here back in May.
There will be no Winston Cup championship for Bill Elliott, but 7 poles and 4 victories thus far for the year. A good season, well over $1 million, and he'll pick up almost $75,000 for his win today.
Finishing in 2nd spot with a good strong run all day long, Bobby Allison of Hueytown, Alabama. Pat Patterson has caught up with him, fellas.
Bobby Allison comes home 2nd here. Bobby, I know you're pushing as hard as you could to try to catch Bill in the last stages.
Well, I really was. Our car handled perfect all day and ran perfect all day. He wasn't handling early, and they got that Ford handling, and that he just had way too much horsepower for us down the straightaways with that Ford engine. But we ran good all day, and we got to be happy with a 2nd after a pretty disappointing season.
You had a tough run there early on this year, and it seems like you're coming back on a positive note, want to finish the season on a very positive note for Miller and Stavola.
Well, I'd really love to, but, we go out every week and run as hard as we can, and we haven't been able to make that show until recently here. And everybody's just working real hard, and I know Stavola Brothers have really given us an excellent outfit to work with, and I appreciate Miller coming along and helping us like they have, and, backing us and supporting us like they have along the way.
Okay, Bobby Allison, Hueytown, Alabama, 2nd place here today at Charlotte.
Well, Billy and Mickey Stavola have got to be proud of this veteran driver here from Hueytown. The first pole ever for Stavola, the first pole in 5 years for Allison. He will finish 2nd today. He led 6 times for a total of 142 laps, Eli, more than any other competitor here in the Oakwood 500.
A further medical update on Neil Bonnet. They are afraid he might have a broken hip. That is the latest word. They will take a further look at Neil tomorrow. But all of us here at SETN spend this afternoon congratulating Bill Elliott, his 4th win of the year. It comes at the Oakwood Homes 500.
This SETN NASCAR Winston Cup Racing Special has been brought to you by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Never matters how far you go, Goodyear takes you home. And by Ford and your local Ford dealer, who invites you to test drive the 1988 Ford cars and trucks. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Exxon. Quality you can count on, Exxon. And by Xerex Antifreeze and Coolant, the antifreeze that beats winter.
The executive producer of SETN Sports is Jim Wigglesworth. Today's coverage of the Oakwood Homes 500 has been produced by John R. Lewis. Behind 10th place finisher Kyle Petty, Ricky Rudd came home 11th, Dale Earnhardt 12th, 13th was Brad Teague, a good run, and Buddy Arrington finished 14th, a fine run for him. 15th was Steve Christman, Connie Saylor 16th, Ken Schrader 17th, Then Dave Marcus, Davey Allison, and Morgan Shepherd rounding out the top 20. In Winston Cup points, Dale Earnhardt still comfortably ahead by 525 points over Bill Elliott.